it's the success.
Not only to think, but to act outside of the box.
You need a coach to help guide you on what your sweet spot is.
What you do works, period.
So let's talk about how to apply the hero's journey. And I want to show you a few examples of how actually the hero journey has helped my clients. And one of them is Beth Cadman. So Beth talks about how the SOAR storytelling works, and it even helps with writing user stories in the agile world, because it helps you understand what you're trying to solve, what are the obstacles, how you're going to solve them. And it led to her role at Amex. And Rochelle shares that storytelling technique that I taught actually helped her with a tricky personal situation. And it really has a universal application for sure. This framework will change every aspect of your life and how you communicate with people, not just resumes and interviews. Okay, so let's break it down. The first thing you need to tell a story is you need to have a hero. Your hero could be your boss, your team, your stakeholders. And usually, when you tell a story, you want to just get right into what that problem is. So you have a hero, your boss, your team, and your stakeholders, and they may have a problem. And the biggest mistake that job seekers make is really not defining what the hero wants. So you really need to make sure that when you tell the story that you're clearly defining the problem in order to make your answer focused and concise. Picking a problem that your hiring manager identifies with or is trying to solve is even better. So do a little bit of that legwork to see what is the company direction, what are they struggling with, why are they hiring, what's the whole point of your role, in order to come up with a story that has a problem that is very similar to what they're trying to solve in order to create that relatability. Just like how my client Pam, she helped her organization launch the electronic medical record system impacting the entire province of BC, which would save patients from basically dying because of doctor mistakes, because of doctors incorrectly transcribing handwritten prescriptions. So when you tell the story that way, oh my God, it creates a hook. The problem is very clear, and the hiring manager is going to lean in and want to hear what you're saying. As a guide, your sole purpose is to understand your hero's problem and coax them into taking action. You're calling your heroes to action. So you'll say something like, we gotta move, we gotta solve this problem, because the heroes may be afraid or may not have the right tools. And those components basically make up the situation part of your story. The other thing is that, your heroes, as they're trying to solve the problem, as you're guiding them, they're going to go through obstacles or hurdles, and you're going to want to talk about those hurdles. Because if you don't, then the problem is going to seem very trivial and easy to solve. Remember the drama that we talked about. Just like how my client Pam had to deal with a difficult stakeholder, a doctor that was set in their way and didn't want to use the electronic medical record, and that, she had to convince them. And of course, when you're trying to guide your heroes in terms of solving a problem and help them, overcome these hurdles, as a guide, you're going to want to give them a roadmap, a plan. So here's an example of a plan that Pamela gave her team. The first part of the plan was building a relationship with the most influential stakeholder. So that difficult stakeholder who was resistant, she ended up, taking them out for coffee, trying to understand why they were so resistant and get them on her side. Then she decided to involve the team to ideate solutions. So rather than just bulldozing over her team, she got them to collaborate and come up with options to address the concerns of that influential stakeholder. Then the third thing she did is she pitched those ideas very clearly to her stakeholders with pros and cons. So it's very important to talk about your approach and your plan when it comes to solving the problem. Because at the end of the day, if your team could solve their own problem, what's the point of hiring you? So help your interviewer understand how you've helped your heroes solve their problem through a plan that you've given them. And make sure that you talk about the impact, the result, the happy ending. When we watch a movie and there's a struggle and we're at the edge of our seat and we want to know what happens, imagine if the movie ended without a happy ending or like an outcome. That's going to be disappointing. So don't get the hiring managers excited for nothing. Talk about your success. Talk about the impact of your actions. So when you answer a question like, tell me about a time you overcame a challenge, you will touch on these basic stepping stones from the perspective of a guide using a framework called SOAR, which connects to the hero journey. SOAR stands for situation, obstacle, action, and result. So the situation talks about your role as a guide, who your hero is, what problem you are helping them solve. And the obstacle is what is blocking your hero from solving the problem. The action is the 3-step plan you give your heroes to solve the problem and overcome the obstacle. And the result is the impact of solving the problem. And remember, when you tell the story, talk about how you as a guide help your team through that journey. So, hope you really love this technique. I'm sure you will. It's a lot more fun than the STAR framework. And let's see you in the next video so that we can help you ace that interview.